Lesson 4. English words ending ic and ical. Right, so in the first lesson we looked at how we could take English words which ended al and we just add an ny to them and we get the Polish. And we worked a bit on pronunciation. In this lesson we're going to look at a similar concept. Again, this is this language transfer where we're going to take English words and we're going to transfer them into Polish so that then you, when you come across similar English words that we don't cover in this course and in this lesson, can do the same transfer without having to learn the words, just because you simply remember the pattern of the word. And in this lesson we're going to look at words which end ic and ical. So we're thinking about things like logical, tragic, dramatic, electric and electrical. What else might we have? Dramatic. We'll get into them all. Okay, let's have a look at the system. So we're going to take the English word political. And the way we do the transfer is we drop the ical, and if it was just an ic ending word we would just drop the ic, but in here we've got ical, so we'll drop the ical to get the root. Then of course we have a look at it to check how we might be saying it. It's po, that's like o as in orbit, li, that's e like in ski, so that's good. That ports across perfectly. And now we just add ichna to the end, ichna. So it's a bit like the n on the end of normalna, but a bit longer with ichna.
Polityczny. Polityczny. Polityczny.
Okay, let's try a few. How about dramatic? Dramatic. So let's strip it back, take off the ic. So we've got dramat. Let's think about the pronunciation there. A as in apple. Dramat. Yep, okay, that's all good. And now we just add the ichna.
Dramatyczny. Dramatyczny.
Okay, what about electric or electrical? Both of them, electric or electrical. So we just take off the ical and we get back to the root, but if it sounds like a K, it is a K. So you'll see in there we've got K instead of C just before the T. Let's think about the other pronunciation, ele. Does it all sound like e as in elephant? Certainly does. So we've got elektra, and then we just add the ichna.
Elektryczny. Elektryczny.
But sometimes we're going to have to think even a bit harder about the actual transfer, about how things actually sound. So we've got here the word exotic. So we might be talking about an exotic pizza, an exotic holiday, an exotic car, all sorts of things which can be exotic. So we have to think how to, as usual, how we're actually going to write this in Polish. Okay, so we can't just take off the ic that simply. Obviously the ic is going to have to go, but let's listen to the word. So it starts egg. Starts egg. Okay, so we have to think about that. As in elephant and egg. Exactly. And then what do we say next? We say zot. So o as in orbit, we're good. So, but it's a z there. So zot. Okay. And now we can add our ichna. Got it.
Egzotyczne. Egzotyczne.
Okay, all good. Right, now we've got this ichna rule here. There is a slight change that depends on what happens here, or very near here. So what we've got here is a hard sound, a t. It's a hard sound. But if we were to say something like, let me just check, I know, we've got it. Let's say we wanted to bring across tragic. Okay, it's an ic word. So should be able to use the same rule, and we can very, very nearly. So again, we listen to how it sounds. Tra is fine. Now, of course, g is g. It's never going to be j, like tragic. It's always a g, so we've got trag. Now, g is a softer sound. So when you've got a softer sound, the way you're actually going to end it is ichna. So you've got two actual sounds. You've got the hard T. If it's a hard T, then you're going to go with this Y, uchna. If you've got a softer sound here at the end before you do the switch, then you need to use the ichna. Now again, don't get too hung up on it. The reason I'm telling you it is so that you're aware. If to start off with you just use this all the time, or you use this all the time, you'll be perfectly understood everywhere because they're so close in the sound. You've got uchna, ichna, uchna, ichna. The fact that you could actually say something like tragichna, you know, everybody will understand just because you didn't say tragichna. But be aware of it. You're going to see it in the written form. You're going to hear it. And so you're going to be going, hello, you know, why is there an E and an as you start to get your ear more attuned. And of course, if you want to get much more fluent in Polish, then you must be aware of these two. But just remembering this ichna rule, or this ichna, does exist, is important in the long term. And I'll show you a little trick in a minute when we've had a little bit of a practice with our softer sound as to how you can remember which is which, a little kind of mental hook. Okay, let's try a few. So if we want to say logical, then we just take off the logical, take off the ical, and we've got our log, and then we add our ichna with an I.
Logiczny. Logiczny.
We want to say historical, take off the ical, and we've got our histor. That's all good in terms of pronunciation. And we add ichna.
Historyczny. Historyczny.
We want to say something is ecological. Ecological. So we take off the ical. We've got our soft ge there. And of course, if you've got something which sounds like a K, it is a K. So let's try that.
Ekologiczny. Ekologiczny.
Now, if you want to try and get a kind of mental hook into your head about whether you're going to be using the I or the Y to start the ending, here's a little kind of mental trick which I used, and I remembered it as this. Use logic. I was like, use logic. Okay, now logic, it means that we always look at and think about the word logical. Okay, not sure which ending to use? Think about the word logical. Let's be logical about this. Okay, now then with logical, we can quite literally, with the Polish, we can just go, we can repeat that start there, like that. Okay, so we're not dropping the whole ical off the end. We're just dropping the, we're not dropping anything, sorry, we're just dropping the al off the end here. And that's a reminder that a soft g, any kind of soft sound, uses the I. Okay, that's how I remember it. Okay, there's one unusual one in this sort of set of ical words, and that's technical. And it's unusual because it does and it doesn't work exactly as we expect. So, let's say we kind of apply our usual rules. So we go te, air like elephant, good. And now the next thing we want to think is that this is going to be k. If it sounds like a K, it is a K. Now there's an exception here is that in Polish there is a sound, a specific sound that you get when you put CH together. It's a sound that I don't know if we even have it in English, but very rarely. So it's this, so sound. So they keep the CH because they've got a sound for it, okay? It's not like, oh, it sounds like a K, so it is a K. In this case, we have CH. We have CH in the Polish language. It makes a sound. So we keep it and we end up with this tech sound. I kind of visualize this in my mind with a little imaginary story that, you know, when a Polish person came across the word product, they were like, there's those crazy English again, using C when it's really a K. We'll just change that to a K. And I'm not saying here that Polish just came in and nicked a load of words from English. These are kind of mental stories I make to kind of picture this. A lot of this actual stuff stems from the Latin, and that's why it's shared in both languages. But anyway, so they did that. But when they saw this word, they were like, we've got a CH sound, so we'll keep it. We've got our tech. And then you can go on and do this. It's a nice soft sound, so we've got each. So listen now when I play the professional voice for technical, and just listen out for that because it's important. It's going to come up again and again, even during this course in a later lesson. So just listen for that and try to get that sound when you say technical.
Techniczny. Techniczny.
Okay, let's practice some of those. So let's try saying, as many people do, as many politicians do, it's a tragic scandal.
To jest tragiczny skandal. To jest tragiczny skandal.
It's an electrical product. It's an electrical product.
To jest elektryczny produkt. To jest elektryczny produkt.
It's an ecological product. It's an ecological product.
To jest ekologiczny produkt. To jest ekologiczny produkt.
Okay, let's try learning a new bit of vocabulary. Again, this is a word that's very, very similar, like we've seen with product and scandal. So many words are actually very, very close to the English. Now, the way I think about report is to think about how some kind of Southern American Texan businessman would say report when they're shouting. They'd be saying, give me my goddamn rapport. Yeah, that's how they say it. It's a rapport. I need a goddamn rapport and I need it now. So that's exactly how it is written in Polish. Like that. And so the only difference is here with the E and the A, because we've got or as in orbit, so rapport, yes it is. And of course remember to roll the R a bit. So let's hear that.
Raport. Raport.
And let's try putting that into some practice sentences. It's an ecological report. It's an ecological report.
To jest ekologiczny raport. To jest ekologiczny raport.
It's an idiotic report. Let's be insulting and say it's an idiotic report. So we just need to think about idiotic there for a moment. We need to take off the IC. We need to think if it's a hard sound, and if it is, then we can use the Y. It is, it's a T, it's a hard sound. So it's an idiotic report.
To jest idiotyczny raport. To jest idiotyczny raport.
Okay, and it's a public report. It's a public report. So again, we just take off the IC to give us our pub. We've got to think about how we're going to say it, because we've got a U there, like in uniwersalne. But apart from that, we've got quite a soft sound with the L. So the L's giving us our soft sound, so we know that this is like logical. So let's try saying it. It's a public report.
To jest publiczny raport. To jest publiczny raport.
Okay, in Polish, problem is problem in terms of spelling. But remember what we say about how we need to push down on the penultimate syllable, and we need to say the air as in elephant and roll the R. So let's have a listen to problem.
Problem. Problem.
Okay, let's put that straight into some sentences. It's a technical problem. It's a technical problem.
To jest techniczny problem. To jest techniczny problem.
It's an ecological problem. It's an ecological problem.
To jest ekologiczny problem. To jest ekologiczny problem.
It's an electrical problem. It's an electrical problem.
To jest elektryczny problem. To jest elektryczny problem.
Alright, depending if you're from the UK or from America, it depends how you spell colour. So in UK English we've got this really strange thing where we're putting a U on it, and of course in American English it's a much more sensible colour. Okay, now if I tell you like product, this is a very, very similar word when you hear it in Polish. So we just need to think about it a bit to think how we might get it. So if it sounds like a K, it is a K. So we start with a K. How do we say O? O is in orbit. Or. Call Lord. And remember to roll the R a bit. Okay, let's hear that.
Kolor. Kolor.
And let's put that into some practice sentences. It's a romantic colour. It's a romantic colour. Okay, romantic, take off the ick. Hard T sound there, so we've got our ichna ending. It's a romantic colour.
To jest romantyczny kolor. To jest romantyczny kolor.
It's a dramatic colour. It's a dramatic colour.
To jest dramatyczny kolor. To jest dramatyczny kolor.
It's an ecological colour. So if we think there about all this greenwashing, people putting products in ecologically like brown and green packaging, those are ecological colours for greenwashing. It's an ecological colour.
To jest ekologiczny kolor. To jest ekologiczny kolor.
Okay, now again, don't worry if you didn't get those all the first time round, especially on those listen and repeats type exercises. Those listen and repeat exercises, they're more for practicing than when you're actually learning. If you have the opportunity, do the lesson and use the pause button so you can stop and think the transfer through. Okay, it's much more powerful to do that in terms of your memory than just to try and learn them parrot fashion with this listen and repeat, listen and repeat. So you hear like, you know, what do we have? It's an ecological colour. Okay, stop the lesson, press pause, ecological. Right, I need to know, remember the rule, the Ichna rule. Okay, I've got that, Y or I. Let's think logically, it's an I. So that'll be ekologiczna. To jest, and we know colour, okay? And then you can start the lesson again. But working that through in your mind every single time will get faster and faster and faster until you literally are hardly conscious that you're actually thinking all of that through. Okay. Okay, let's summarise. We've got these two rules. We've got the ichna, and then an example of that in dramatic, and we've got the ichna, and an example of that in tragic. I said about using this logical mental hook to remember whether you're going to use an I or a Y. One thing I also ought to point out is that word ordering in Polish is flexible in terms of whether you're talking about, you could be saying it's an ecological colour or it's a colour ecological. And again, we'll stick with the English word order for the moment because it'll be perfectly understandable. Everybody will understand you. And perhaps when you're talking more in Polish, you will hear more when people are swapping things around and you'll be more comfortable to swap things around. But don't worry about using the English order for the moment. And don't get hung up, as I said, on this ichna and ichna. If you're talking and you suddenly think, oh, I need to say tragic, but I can't remember, is it ichna or ichna? Use either, and you will be fully understood. And what I would do before the next lesson is I would think up your own ick words or your own ical words, or have a look on Google. You can search things like English words that end ick and English words that end ical, and find some and try and do them. For example, like theoretical, try and do that. And see if that that comes out. They don't all work, but the majority of words do, and it'll give you a huge treasure trove of vocabulary, and very rich vocabulary right off the blocks, and we're only at the end of lesson 4. Now, a little bit of homework for you, as we had from the first lesson. So the homework this time is to find out what's radical about the Polish word for radical. What's radical about the Polish word for radical? It's an ical word.